This is how you raise your frequency in 3 steps. And frequency, let's begin with that before I get into the 3 steps that you could take immediately to actually raise your vibration in life, to raise your frequency, to get you at a higher state of mind. And frequency, you can honestly say, like everything in, to summarize it in this short video, everything in the universe is jiggling. All matter, they're just moving just slightly. And we learn this in like in physics in like, I don't know, like third grade, and then on. Like in a solid, the reason why a state of matter, something is solid, because things are jingling not as much. But in a liquid, obviously compared to a solid, like if you try to pick up water with your hands, it'll go right through your hands. That's because the atoms are moving a lot faster. And a gas, I mean, gases just go up everywhere and just fly into the atmosphere and eventually into outer space because they're a lot further apart and they're moving a lot faster. And everything has a frequency. Like everything legit does. Like this isn't woo-woo bullshit. You know, everything is moving. There's a reason why you can't go through objects, right? Like everything is moving in the universe. Everything's in a constant state of motion. It looks from our human eyes, it looks like everything's, especially solids, they're at standstill. But everything is in flux. Everything's in change. And this is what I'm talking about. This is frequency because we are matter also. And we are changing every single day. So it's important to pay attention to this. Do you see where I'm going with this? Like I'm trying to use real world things, for kind of out there things because people say frequency in a YouTube video and people just click off, and I don't want you to do that because this is a very real thing. Everything is moving. I want to break this down into other videos, but like getting into like waves and actually like the crests and the troughs and like how waves are measured because that's what a frequency is. It's between the crest and the troughs in a wave. And you could put that on a graph too and use mathematics to understand this. But everything's moving at a certain frequency. And the idea is if our whole body's at a certain frequency, we're going to be in a certain state of mind. And to get out of that frequency, we have to move our vibration up. Like vibration is legit the best word for it, even though how woo it is. But our vibration is what our body is legit moving at. And it's like, and we're like, this is very hard, very nuanced to explain. But like, we're like 99% empty space. I think that's what matters. Like Eckhart Tolle, I got this from The Power of Now. You know, he says that's where consciousness lays, in between those atoms. And like there is a lot of energy going through our body, because there is a lot of energy moving through our body. I mean, electricity from our neurons in our brain. I mean, heat. We give off heat. I mean, our body's at what, 98.6 Fahrenheit if you're alive, right? 24/7, 7 days a week, right? Like there's all these energies coming off of us. I just named two real world examples right there. Like that is energy. It gives off a frequency. If it has energy, it has a frequency. If it's matter, I mean it's the same thing. I mean anything that exists in the universe has a frequency. I mean I'm trying to explain this at the simplest level. Like we learn this in school, but it goes right over our head. Every This is what I'm trying to say. Everything's constantly moving. Everything's affecting everything else. And it's the same thing with your body. So once we have this knowledge that we're in constant flux, we're not a creature just stuck in time, because a lot of people do think that, like people hear like, oh, my brain's developed at 25 years old. Nah, bullshit. Like that one I hate. I hate when people talk like that, you know, because I mean, technically, at a physics standpoint, you're in constant flux. You're always changing. Like you're never in the same place. I mean, it's entropy. I'm talking about entropy, the law of entropy. Things go from order to chaos. You know, and that's basically what human life is. You came into the world, you got some order, some consciousness, you have a body, and then you move into basically the unknown. I don't know what you guys believe in or whatever, if it's heaven or uh, reincarnation, hell, or whatever, but we move on to something else. And in the physical world and matter, well, we go into chaos, basically into dust, or into other things. The Circle of Life, Lion King, But this is what frequency is. Like, this is how you got to, once you understand at this level, it's, for me, it started clicking. I'm a science guy, right? Science and mathematics. But this really clicked for me because a lot of the new age people want to bullshit you on this. And they just say, raise your frequency. And they don't give you any solutions. And I'm here to give you solutions. And they're actually things that I teach in my program, as a coach, because that's basically what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to raise your frequency to get you to your goals in life. And step number 1 is exercise. Because you have to move your body. Like I told you before, the atoms in your body are constantly jiggling. They're constantly vibrating. They're constantly moving. Well, let's get them moving even more. And when you exercise, I mean, all types of things happen. I mean, your testosterone goes up, your metabolism speeds up. The heat in your body raises. Your brain starts working. Other parts, electricity just gets shot through your brain, through your neurons and synapses. All these things are changing in your body when you just exercise, just automatically on a physical level. Like, I know I'm being very brief here, but like on a physical level, all these things are changing. You're a different person when you exercise. Do you see what I'm saying? I kind of think about it. You're going through like a portal, like vroom, you're in a different reality when you exercise. You go into a trance. Ancient people knew this completely. Like warriors going to battle, because you call that exercise, right? Throwing spears and slashing people with swords and bashing others with shields. Like, that is exercise. That is training. People knew this, and there would be rituals going into this because they knew this was a different state of mind that you would enter in when you enter into battle. And depending what culture. But it just seems like humans all over the planet, they all do this. What a coincidence, right? It's not just Europeans. It's not just Asians. It's not just Mesoamerica or the indigenous people of Americas. They all have this, and they knew this. I really learned this from war and the esoteric part of it. I just thought that was so fascinating. But the same thing goes for exercise. So I'm telling you, like, and it's this simple. Go for a walk. Go for a walk. Like, that will raise your metabolism. That will get your frequency higher. Like, I've never gone on a walk and felt worse. I could tell you that for sure in my life. No matter what it could be a blizzard outside. It could be raining. It could be cloudy. It can be muggy. Excuse me. It's just, you're always feeling better. And I believe it's that simple. But think about if you raise your frequency even higher. Like, you got a hard workout and, hit workout, right? To failure. Or maybe you ran 2 miles and you beat your PR. You feel amazing. At a hormonal level, you're getting dumped to endorphins. You're through your endocannabinoid system, you're just getting flooded with these feel-good feelings. You just feel amazing, and your testosterone's at its peak, especially if you hit a PR in the gym, or you hit something to failure, right? Using your fast twitch muscles. You feel absolutely amazing, and that is a fantastic way to raise your frequency. You know, I've never met anybody that feels worse after a workout. That's just not how it works. You got blood pumping through your body. Like, do you see what I'm saying? You're moving the machinery through your body. I think about exercise. You're almost like you're lubricating the machine. This is how I think about it. And like that's why it's good to constantly exercise. This is why, basically when you don't use the machine, right? It's just like if you left your car in your garage, right? It's gonna rust. Things are gonna break down. The car must be used every single day. All the rubber seals would be worn out and get hard, right? Like, you need to keep on moving things, move the fluids through the car. It's good for the engine. Like, it's legit the same idea. And it's the law of entropy. This is how everything works. And you got to constantly be using things. Use it or lose it. I'm sure you've heard that old adage. And another thing, I don't say my next step to raising your frequency. This one, yeah, these things are easy, right? They're really that easy. Sleep. Sleep. Just sleep more, right? And this is contradictory to everybody else on the internet. Everyone, hustle culture, everyone's telling you to grind. I mean, especially if you live in America, everyone's bragging about how little sleep they get, right? Which is horrible. I mean, this is why everyone's vibing so low. This is why everyone's dreams and aspirations are so low. I mean, there's a correlation to this, right? And I think it's definitely causation. But they're not sleeping. And sleep, because, I mean, this goes back to exercise. Well, when you lubricate the body, right? When you actually use the body and all these things are happening, well, now it needs to recover because some things get damaged. Because just like you driving your car, you're going to damage some things. So you need to do some maintenance. You need to leave it alone. You can't be driving it 24/7, right? Or something's going to happen to it. You know? So sleep. It's easy. Sleep. Get 8 hours, 8 to 9 hours. I'm extreme with this. Maybe even 10. If you're working out every single day, you're sleeping 10 hours a night. Like, no questions asked. Your body cannot recover. I mean, first of all, it raises your frequency because it works on your mental health. Sleep is the best form of therapy. Before you get a therapist, before you get on those SSRIs or those bullshit pills, I want you to get 8 hours of sleep. This is the number one thing you could do. There's a correlation, any psychologist will tell you this. There's a correlation between mental illness and insomnia. Everybody of any mental illness, from bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, anxiety, borderline personality disorder, I mean, you name it, psychopathy, sociopathy, there is insomnia. Insomnia is the correlation. They all can't sleep. Oh, no wonder. Their brain's not working properly. They're not giving off the right chemicals. Those synapses aren't connected properly. You need sleep. Sleep will put you in the right state of mind. Sleep will give you clarity. Sleep will make you think, right? Easy enough, right? And it's that REM sleep. And that's when I could go into dreams. When you dream, that's when your subconscious is organizing itself. And the most amazing part about it is when you dream, uh, your mind is almost, I want to say, talking to you in images and symbols that you must decipher. Like right next to my bed, I have a notebook and I record all my dreams, as much as I can every night. And every time I look back on them, I'm like, oh, this makes so much sense. Oh, I know what to do. I feel whole. You're integrating your shadow. I mean, this is the great work. This is what you're supposed to do with a therapist or a psychologist. This is the same thing. But I say, first, you become your therapist and your own psychologist, because this person has other clients, they don't have you 24 hours a day, but you have yourself for 24 hours a day. So I'm saying work on your mind. But this raises your frequency. I could tell. Like, because I do these practices, I could see it in other people. And it's very clear to me. It's very transparent. See, this is so important. See, there's so many tangents I could go off on because I'm trying to stick to this. But this is how you raise your frequency. I know every time I'm the best version of myself when I have 8 to 10 hours. I could tell you that right now. I'm a nicer person. I'm more generous. I'm more thoughtful. I'm thinking about other people. I'm harder working. I mean, I'm just running properly. But the thing is, nobody's doing that. This is what I'm saying. We got to this is how we raise our frequency, and therefore we're in better shape. We can exercise more. We could do more things. Like, it's just an upward spiral when you do this. Like, again, this is legit how your frequency goes. And that's why it seems like when you go in a lower frequency, or you get in deep, dark places in life, you're like, how can I get out of this? Well, just remember how fast it got you to get down there. Same thing going up. As above, as below, right? It's the same thing. So that's amazing. You get an upward trajectory. You could transform your life this way so easily. And you just take a couple steps, just tiny steps, and they blow up into something bigger. But sleep is massive. Nobody talks about this. And the next thing I'm going to say is diet, nutrition. That is the third step to raising your frequency over your lifetime. Because you are what you eat. The law of conservation of mass and energy cannot be created nor destroyed. So when you eat food, That is what you're adding to your body. That is legit you. Again, the old adage, you are what you eat. You know, I mean, it's just so true. I mean, if you don't eat enough protein, you're not going to have muscle in your body. If you don't eat enough carbs, well, you're going to be dehydrated and you're going to have no energy throughout the day. If you don't eat any fat, your brain's going to shrink, which is made out of fat. Do you see what I'm saying? If you don't drink any water, well, your nerves won't work right. Your brain won't work all right because they're all basically the water is this is how the electricity travels through your brain and your body to give off these signals and to actually work properly. This is why I can move my body around because I'm hydrated. Because I'm telling you, when you're dehydrated, your fingertips get all numb and tingly because your neurons aren't, your nervous system isn't working correctly. So you are what you eat. And a lot of people are just eating slop. You should be a food snob. This is what I told you. You should be a connoisseur. You should sit down at a table. I'm speaking from experience, and I'm not bragging, but you should sit down at a table. Everyone should get insecure. Everyone's like, what's this guy eating? How much does he spend on food? Like you should be eating fine dining, gourmet meals. Like, this is what you should be doing. I mean, if you can't afford it, start making it yourself. Start cooking, and you start respecting food a lot more. I mean, and this is if you live by yourself. If you don't have a wife or you don't live with family. But this is massive. I mean, what the food that you put in your body, and I could go even further. I mean, the animals that you're eating, were they killed in a slaughterhouse? The fish you're coming from, are they from a fish farm? Like it's just like these animals are already at a low frequency. I mean, you eat strong animals, you become a strong animal. This is how it works. You eat healthy plants, healthy, strong, robust plants. I mean, that's going to go into your body. But if you eat sick and weak things, I mean, it's just kind of obvious that's what you become. There's this thing called a Karelian photography. I believe I'm pronouncing that right. But basically, this guy, his name's a Russian guy, something Karelian. I've been meaning to look into it more. But he believes he could take photographs of like auras of like he would like cut tomatoes in half and put leaves and other plants, and he could photograph their auras, and you could see the rotting, moldy like fruits and vegetables that he took pictures of. They had like no aura. They're these dark pictures, but the ones that were robust and healthy were bright, and it just makes sense. I mean, especially if the thing's hydrated and everything, like there's more electromagnetic energy going through it. Electricity, because like our bodies work just like plants and other things. Like this is how things get moving. I mean, everything is electromagnetic. This is a part of your aura too. Electromagnetic energy coming off of you. There's just multiple things going on in your body. But I'm telling you, like this is key right here. Your nutrition. You just change up your nutrition. I'll tell you in a week, you start changing. Your mindset's gonna be different. And it's hilarious. All these things come together. Again, that upward spiral. It's amazing the effects. It's amazing how good you feel after doing these things. Because once you start eating better, you happen to start sleeping better. You start sleeping better. You start exercising better. And since you're getting more better protein and carbs, your workouts are better, and you rest better because you're exercising. Everything, it's just everything's all over the place and connecting together. Everything's working for you. And then you're like, how can I fail in life? But your frequency's high. And then when you get your frequency high, then you come from places of gratitude, from peace, joy, love, enlightenment. It's the highest things a human being can feel. You get to these points. But we just need to get the foundation down.